So you broke your iPhone 4 screen, huh? Don't worry, I got you covered. You're watching TechSpain. If you're watching this, you probably have a broken iPhone 4. Either that, or you just think I'm sexy and like watching me do stuff. So I'll show you how to fix your phone. Just like in our iPhone 3 screen repair video, this is my first time doing this. So we'll see how it goes. We'll be using a kit from thephonedoctors.com, which includes a metal and plastic spudger to open things up, actually very useful, a Phillips screwdriver, and for those of you with the weird flower-like screws on your iPhone, a pentalobular screwdriver. Now this kit also includes a screw mat, which, well, it's not as dirty as it sounds. It's a magnetized little placemat thing with a photo of an iPhone on it that you can use to keep track of the different screws to make sure you put it back together properly. There's a lot more screws than there were on the iPhone 3, so this thing is genius. And if you've ever watched my other iPhone video, you'll see right away that it'll come in handy. Alright, enough jibba jabba, let's get going. Oh, and in case it's not obvious, if you're going to take your phone apart, you're doing so at your own risk. Please watch this entire video before trying to fix your phone. That way, you know if you can handle it. Good luck. Alright, so here's what you'll need. The tools, the 2 screwdrivers, the metal and plastic spudgers, the screw mat to place your screws and to keep them all in the right spot. You see it's magnetized and it has little spaces for where each one goes. The broken iPhone, and the replacement screen. You can't just replace the glass yet, they haven't come out with a kit with that, but when you get it, it's a lot easier because you don't have to deal with replacing the LCD. So, the first step, obviously, would be to take out the SIM card. You pop that out and take out the card. I already did that with this one. And then make sure that the phone is off. So just hold the power button and then slide it off. Once the phone goes off, you will use the pentalobular screwdriver to remove the 2 tiny screws. Now I'm doing this backwards so you can see it, like I'm doing it facing you, so it's a little more difficult for me than it will be for you. And using the screw mat, you kind of place them where they went on the phone, which will come in a lot handy later. So the 2 bottom screws are out. Then you slide the back cover up. This is the top of the phone. You slide it up and you lift out, and that's it. The back of the phone is off. So this may be your first time looking inside of an iPhone. Enjoy looking at it. We then take out, I'm looking at the instructions to the side because this really is my first time doing this. You're going to be taking out this screw right here to remove the battery. This big thing here is the battery and we need to remove that. So using the Phillips screwdriver, not the pentalobular one, you take out that screw, put it where it was on the thing. I should turn the phone the same way so that way you can get a better feel for this. Alright. We could use this plastic spudger to pull the connector off. Remember, this is my first time. Alright. So now that the battery connector is free, I don't know if you could see that there. There's a little tab here to remove the battery from the phone. So you lift up on that, and it's glued in, so you kind of have to work it out. If you lift slowly, like I am, very slowly with even pressure, I think you might be able to get it out. I'm using the spudger to help it along a little bit. There. Alright, so the battery is now out. Alright, next step, take out the SIM tray. You can actually use the screwdriver that comes with this kit to do that. There we go. Put that to the side. And next, we're going to be removing these 2 screws here, using Phillips screwdrivers again. Boop. Boop. And you'll notice that since the screw mat is magnetized, they don't go anywhere. This is really great. I mean, it seems like a simple idea, but it is definitely useful. Here we go. And so now that we have these 2 screws out, we take this little shield right here lift it up and away. See? And that goes on the screw mat too. Okay. The next step is to pry the dock connector up off the logic board. Now again, I'm reading this off of a screen, which is like right over here. You can't really hear. If you could pan over, you could actually see what I'm looking at. See? I've got instructions right here. So I'm doing this for the first time, so give me a break. But bring it back over. I think they mean this guy right here. This is the dock connector cable. There we go. So we use the tool and lift that up off the logic board and then peel back the ribbon cable slowly. It's glued on. Everything seems to be glued. There we go. And so the next step, oh, by the way, this little black thing here, sorry, this little shield got stuck to here. I thought I put it over here already. That goes on the screw mat there. All right. The next step is to remove the antenna, which is right here. Now this little circular silver thing pops off. That's what the antenna is. All right. Let's see, what's next? Remove the Phillips screwdriver of the logic board. Okay, so that's the screw right here. Again, these are such tiny pieces and such tiny parts, it's kind of hard to see, so forgive us if the camera goes out of focus every once in a while. We're trying to get a good shot. Okay. Now, we have more screws to remove, a lot more actually. So we're going to be taking out five more. So this one, this one, this one, this one, and this one here, but not this one yet. So let's get to it. So the next step is to remove the shield, which we just took the screws out that were holding it down. There's going to be a lot of me going, I feel in this video. Just like there was in the iPhone 3 one. It's definitely tough. This is not something you want to tell your parents to do. Alright, what's holding this guy down? I have a lot more respect for the guys at the Genius Bar. Actually, the guys at the Genius Bar just give you a new phone. They don't do any of this crap. Screw them. Alright, I can see from this side. There's a little clip right here that you kind of have to jiggle. Okay, let's see if I could get that out with this here. Again, it's hard for me to see backwards, but there you go. That goes on the screw mat with everything else. Excuse the blurriness. Alright, so the next step is to remove the camera. This little guy here obviously is the camera. And so if you use the tool, I would use the flat side here. You could pop this little connector off gently. There we go. Then we should be able to lift the whole thing out. Let's see if it actually does lift out. Alright. There we go. Noticed how this went in there. I don't know if you could see that from your angle, but it's got a little slot that goes in, so let's set that aside. Alright. So next, let's see. We have to remove this little white sticker. This little white sticker, by the way, is the thing that tells Apple if you opened your phone. Or if you spilled water on it and stuff, it turns red if it gets wet. But if you're at this point, I think you're pretty much past the warranty replacement coverage. So screw that, take the sticker off. And so we have to now remove the screw that was underneath that sticker. And we put that on the screw mat as well. Oops, goes right there. Okay. So now we have a bunch of stuff to disconnect. So I don't know if you could see it here, but there's 5 little connectors, kind of like all the other ones. They're like flat plastic things that get pushed down. So we gotta pull them up to remove them. So starting from the left to the right, lift up. Okay, so all these connectors are now loosened. Next we have to remove this screw right here, which is more like a weird standoff thing. It's like a screw within a screw. And now that comes out. Actually, this is my screwdriver. This didn't come with the kit, so that might be something you want to keep in mind. I got this at Radio Shack. But this needs a flathead screwdriver. So the kit comes with the Phillips and the pentalobular. And you might be able to use this spudger to remove that screw, but it would be kind of, you know, be careful you don't break anything. But a flathead, you know, small electronic screwdriver would be best, kind of like this. All right, so now that that's out, that goes in this blue bubble, blue indicating that there's 2 screws that go in there. All right, and the next step is to remove the logic board from the iPhone. This whole thing being the logic board. It's kind of incredible that this is the brains of your iPhone. Like, this is it. This is an iPhone right here. How crazy is that? Oh, $500, whatever. Next, we have to remove the 2 screws that are on the speaker assembly. We already removed one, I believe, earlier. Yes, that's right here. So there's another one right here. I'm gonna take that out now. Next, we remove the speaker enclosure. That's this guy. There we go. So that just comes out. I'm going to put that over here. So we're going to next remove the 2 screws that are securing the vibrating motor right here. So these come out like so. It's kind of cool. I don't know if you can see it. The screw's standing up. Boop. Okay. So back over to the phone. We see that now the vibrating motor is loose. And how that works is this little metal thing spins. And since it's like off center, you feel it vibrating, and that's what makes the phone vibrate. Interesting. And that goes on the screw mat with everything else. Okay. We're going to remove a screw that's right around here by the headphone jack. Let's see where that is. Okay. I don't know if you could see in there. It's tiny. That can go there. Okay, and then there's 3 more screws inside here along, let's see. So there's one here, here, and here. So we're going to take those 3 out. And they have little washers in them, so be careful that you put them back together with the washer when you replace them. We'll get to that though. All right. There's another small screw here in the corner. Again, if you're kind of lost, this is the bottom of the phone. This is the top. I'm trying to keep it, you know, always the same way, but it's a little difficult when I'm trying to do something and show you guys at the same time. But I think you can get the hang of this. Remember, this is my first time, so don't judge. Put that there. Another little screw in the corner here. I think you see the pattern, pattern forming here. All right. And on this side, there's 3 more big fat screws with washers. Now, I was told you can turn them 1.5 times. Instead of taking them all the way out, just try to turn it 1.5 times. Not sure if that'll work though. But same goes for the ones on this side too. Like 1.5 times on each. Let's see if that works. All right. All right. So now we should be able to remove. Oh, there's one more screw. Sorry. There's one on each corner. I left one out. This one right here. Oops, wrong screwdriver. First time, remember. Phillips head screws are on the inside. So take out that little screw. Remember, I've actually rotated the phone, so that's right here. So now we should be able to, we have 3 screws that were taken out. We've loosened 3 of the others. And we should be able to remove the screen. And to do that, you should place this plastic tool between the metal and the little rubber gasket that goes along the outside of the phone. All right, let's see. Seems to be going a little bit. There we go. Like everything else, there seems to be like adhesive or something. That's probably why the iPhone feels so solid. There we go. Okay. Little by little, it's going. There we go. Gross. I'm actually going to end up taking these screws out just because it doesn't seem like they're being very cooperative and the screen is kind of still stuck. So taking those out. Oops. Okay, and now the screen should come out. There we go. Now, guide these cables carefully through. And now, we have an iPhone with no screen and no logic board. And we're ready to start installing the new screen. All right, our new screen here has protective plastic on it because you don't want to install a dirty screen. That would be tacky. So using the tabs, I don't know if you can see that. Here, I'll use the spudger. Using the tabs here, you remove the protective plastic from the front and the back. Okay. Look at how clean that is and not broken, just to compare it to the crappy old effed up one. Oh, and another thing to note at this point, you're dealing with broken glass, so as you're taking it apart, you might have little pieces of broken glass on the floor or on your table, in my case. So just keep aware of that, try not to step on anything, and use common sense, don't hurt yourself. All right, so to install the new screen, you take these 2 connectors, and just like when you took it apart earlier, you're going to have to slide them back in. Oh, actually, speaking of broken glass, as I look at this, I just realized this is slightly sticky and pieces of broken glass are stuck to this. So we're gonna have to remove those before we put the new one on. And I don't know if my head's gonna get in the way here. Sorry if it does, but checking all around just to make sure. Put these two connectors, slide them in through the opening on the iPhone shell here. I don't know if you can see that. Once they're through, line up the tabs and push together. And there you have it. Now, as I push it, I get fingerprints all over it, but you get the idea. All right, so you could always clean that off with Windex afterwards. So just make sure everything is nice and firm, that it feels right before we start putting it back together. Now, remember, there are 4 screws in the corners, 1, 2, 3, 4, and there are these little tiny screws here. Each one has a washer on it. I don't know if you can see that. I don't know if the camera can focus on that. It can. Okay, good. So make sure that each screw has a washer on it before you put it back in. And those screws go on the sides of the phone. And you'll see where there's holes from earlier. There's 3 holes for each one. I'm going to fast forward through this part because, I mean, honestly, you get it. There you go. Nice and tight. All right, so now we have 3 screws on each side, 1 screw in each corner. And now we just have to go backwards and put everything back together, making sure that, you know, we get the screws in the right slot. Now, if you don't have the screw mat, this is going to be a lot more difficult than it needs to be, because if you notice, these screws are all different sizes. So you want to be really careful you don't put this long one in where one of these small ones go, because if you do, they'll go past everything and into the back of the screen, and you'll crack it, and then you'll have a lot of cursing to do. So the first thing we can do is reinstall the vibrating motor. And that, if you remember, that went right here. Oh, just so you know, before I do that, bottom, top. So we're looking at the bottom here. And you kind of have to jiggle it into place. And then using your Phillips screwdriver, you're going to take these screws that we took out earlier and guide them through. And then I wouldn't tighten it all the way until you get the second one in place, just because that'll make it easier. It's kind of spring-loaded because the connectors on the bottom are springs, so I don't know if you could tell, it kind of bounces back when I hit it. So get the other screw and slide it through and tighten that one down, and then tighten the other one all the way. And you don't want to make these too tight, just, you know, a solid connection. Don't over tighten and don't strip the screws. Be very gentle. And now we could put the speakers back, or the speaker, I guess it is, in this case. You slide that into the bottom. Make sure that's seated properly. Okay. And now if you remember, there was a screw right here. So we're going to take that screw from the screw mats. Next up is the logic board. Remember, it went in like so. I just want to make sure I have this right. Okay. So you kind of have to make sure the bottom is in first. Okay. Oops, I have this little tab stuck underneath. There we go. And so we get the connectors seated back onto it. Gently, but firmly. You should feel it click. When each one of these guys goes back down, you should definitely feel it click into place. If you don't have it in right, and you'll most likely have a problem later on when you try to use your phone. So there's 5 connectors. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now make sure that they're all securely on, otherwise, again, you'll definitely have a problem. And 9 times out of 10, when people email me and ask me, I tried to fix my phone, something happened, it's these guys that were not correctly installed. So make sure you mind your connectors. So next up, this larger flathead screwdriver. I don't know if you remember, but we had a flat one that goes back in. There you go. Make sure it's nice and secure. Okay. Now there is that screw underneath here. It lines up with the same screw on the screw mat. I'm just going to keep saying it because this thing is saving me a lot of headaches. Now just for giggles, you can try to get that little white sticker from earlier back on. Don't tell Apple. Oops. Come on. I don't want them to know. What are you talking about? My phone was never taken apart. Suckers. Alright. There we go. Now the camera can go back in. And remember, there was that little tab. Slot that underneath. And push the connector back into place on the logic board. Again, if you don't feel the snap, that means you're not doing it right. So line it up and don't force it too hard. All right. Now we can place this shield back onto the iPhone. Make sure that these little tabs go into the slot. There's a tab right there. Make sure that goes in. And then we can replace the screws. We're basically doing everything that we did earlier in reverse. Okay, we can now reconnect the antenna, which is this little thing. It lines up with the small nub on the logic board. That was ridiculously difficult. That took me, what, 5 minutes? I fast forwarded through that, but it took me 5 minutes to get this little piece of thing connected. Stupid. Alright, at least I'm not bitter, and that's the important part. So, we now have this connector to replace. Carefully, you gotta kind of make sure you don't force it too much. Again, you'll feel it click into place when you get it right. Then you can push it back down, because if you remember this was kind of sticky. Push it back into place. Okay. So, what's next? We have these two screws, but first let's put the shield back on top. And so with the shield in place, we can return the screws to their original location. Now we can place the battery back in. Just kind of mush it down so that way it sticks itself back to where it was. And this little tiny shield goes over where the screw goes in, and it goes over where the antenna connector is. This is like a little shield that protects the antenna from any interference. So it's important that you place that back in. Then you put the cable over that and you push it down so that way it's connected. And then we put the screw back in. And remember not to over tighten it. So that's about it. We now take the back of the phone, put it back on top, slide it into place. There we go. And put in the 2 screws at the bottom. Okay. Now we try to turn it on, see what happens, and bada bing. I don't know if you can see that. Can you see that? Huh? Right. There it is. And we now have a nice, clean, new iPhone screen. There you go. Thank you, Screw Matt. Oh, and in case you're wondering, yes, it works. Well, there you have it. With a little bit of work and a lot of patience, you can fix your own iPhone and save a bunch of money at the same time. A special thanks to the Phone Doctors for providing all the tools and the screw mat used to fix the phone. To buy your own kit, visit thephonedoctors.com, or to buy just the screw mat, you can snag one at screwmat.com. That's it for this episode of TechSpink. Now go out there and fix your damn phone. Thanks for watching. I'm James Papadopoulos, and I'll see you next time.